We have incredible news regarding transactional gold and silver, aka pirate money, aka Patriot Money. What once seemed impossible is now picking up steam and could be the silver or gold bullet that kills the Great Reset. Join me in the Economic War Room for some great news and an action plan to make it happen now. Things are moving very rapidly. Moody's just downgraded the value of American debt. We've not only approached the fiscal cliff, but Joe Biden and company have driven us off Thelma and Louise style in his classic Corvette, of course. Not that we weren't warned. In fact, when I started warning, it was 2008 and the total reported federal debt was just $10 trillion. Just $10 trillion. Now, it's over $33 trillion. When we started COVID just a couple of years ago, it was over $20 trillion. And on this program, I shared that we'd be at $30 trillion before you could blink your eyes. I knew what we'd do in response to a pandemic. But here's what's truly amazing and alarming. When I wrote the book Pirate Money over the summer, I included a chart from usdebtclock.org. It was accessed on June 24th, and it's on page 57 of the book. It lists our total U.S. national debt as $32.1 trillion. You know what that was? That was June. Total reported debt of $32.1 trillion and debt per taxpayer of $249,000. Now, let's look at the same website as of November 14th. That's less than 5 months later. We have $33.7 trillion in debt today. $33.7 trillion overall, and the debt per taxpayer is $259,000. In other words, in 5 months, our total reported debt increased by $1.6 trillion, and your portion of that debt grew by almost $10,000. How could that happen? Interest only on our debt now exceeds $1 trillion per year and will quickly advance to $2 trillion. Interest only. Let's put that in context. Did you know if we summed up all of the credit card debt from every American in this country, every single one, it just set a record? Oh yeah, it did. A little over $1 trillion according to the Federal Reserve. Here it is, CNBC on November 7th report. Credit card balances spiked in the third quarter to a $1.08 trillion record. Now, you know what? A stack of $1 billion bills would be 67.9 miles high. $1 trillion bills would reach 67,866 miles into space. Now imagine 34 such stacks of bills. We're talking about just increasing our debt by more than all American credit card debt that exists. That's how bad the federal government's been, and it's only going to get worse as interest rates tick higher. This is the setup for the Great Reset, when the World Economic Forum overlords come down from Olympus to tell us all how to live. Never fear, they will tell us, we'll absorb your debt. Of course, sacrifices will have to be made. Your standard of living will go down. But your paper money is no longer as valuable as you thought. We will take it from you and give you something better. Let's call it central bank digital currencies. That's coming and faster than you might think. That's why no one seems worried about the debt in the federal government. They know they're going to replace it with electronic funny money called central bank digital currency, where they can control everything you do with your money. Wait, didn't I promise you good news? Didn't I say there was good things happening? Where's that? Well, in the 88th Texas legislature, it ended this year, we made a huge push to fulfill the dream of pirate money, aka Patriot Money, transactional gold and silver. Adding existing technology using a proof of concept from Glint Pay and Load and Kinesis, like they have in Switzerland, the Cayman Islands and so forth, to our existing Texas bullion depository, making it legal tender, as the Constitution allows in Article 1, Section 10, which says no state shall make anything but gold and silver coins as tender. That combination We tried to get it passed, and the implications are huge. It would be optional personal gold and silver standard, private, convenient, with tax advantages, economic justice, and an ability to opt out of CBDC and a dollar under attack. And we had an amazing team working it. True patriots. We traveled to Austin all the time. We met with legislators. We ran an Align Act campaign with the help of this audience and appearances on Flashpoint, WVW, Epic Times, Lance Wallnau. We took 2.8 million actions trying to reach out to the legislature. But sadly, we ran out of time. People were amazed that we got as far as we did. In the House, a freshman, Mark DeRazio, introduced the bill and attracted bipartisan support with 5 joint authors and 39 co-authors, including both Democrats and Republicans. The bill made it out of the most overworked and challenged committee, State Affairs, and even through calendars, which is a feat in itself. It missed being voted on just by a few hours and might have passed had it not been among 8,000 bills filed, plus the turmoil of an unrelated impeachment of our Attorney General and other controversial legislation. On the Senate side, we had a hearing, but it was so late in session it didn't even receive a vote. We walked the halls with bags of chocolate coins, gold and silver. We had mock-ups of personalized debt cards. We learned a lot. We needed to adapt the language, but the concept was solid. The bottom line, we had an amazing response. People loved the idea. They need it now more than ever. We got huge publicity. Still, we're getting calls, and we ran multiple episodes on this show. But out of the smoldering ashes, a new flame has burst forth. People all of a sudden are starting to show interest again. We've done some things in the past few months that we're going to tell you about that will knock your socks off, and there's a place for you to make a real difference in this campaign. Pirate money is not dead. It's coming back, and it's coming back in such a huge way. I cannot wait to tell you about it. We're going to need to take a break, and when we come back, I'll explain exactly what's going on and exactly how you can be part. In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com.
I'm Kevin Sorbo. When you spend money, you consider who you're buying from and the causes they support. If you don't, then you're likely supporting companies that are trying to destroy our country and take away our freedoms. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They're a cell phone company and a good one. They offer nationwide coverage on the best 4G and 5G networks along with 100% US-based customer support. But here's the deal. Patriot Mobile's mission has nothing to do with cell phones. They carry out their mission by giving back millions of dollars every year to Christian conservative causes that are actively engaged in the fight to save America. Voting is no longer enough to beat the woke. We have to band together, support like-minded companies, and vote with our dollars. That's how we win. Stop supporting companies that want to destroy America and join Patriot Mobile today by visiting patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
When the 88th Texas legislature finally wrapped up in May of this year, I was disheartened. We all felt let down after an amazing effort. But we felt like we had failed. We felt washed up. We were told, just wait till next year, except in Texas, it would be 2 years before the next session. We wanted transactional gold and silver as an opt-out to the Great Reset. It is, in my opinion, the one thing that we can do individually or in the states that would change the game entirely. Imagine using gold and silver as a currency with the convenience of a debit card, full privacy protections, no worries about inflation, and no worries about capital gains taxation if your gold or silver gained in value. And it's all backed up by the Constitution and the Supreme Court rulings. It's a dream monetary system, and it was within our grasp. We're a few short hours from getting it passed. We came so close in May. The Texas legislature, in the House particularly, we had the support. And in the Senate, we knew that they would pass it all through to the governor, and we felt like he'd sign it. And then came the defeat. It wasn't voted down. We just ran out of time. You know what it felt like? It felt like the Texas Rangers in the 2011 World Series. They lost to St. Louis 4-3 after losing a 2-game lead. They were a single strike from victory in Game 6 that year. And they'd already lost the World Series in the previous year, 2010, making them the first back-to-back losers in history. That was a painful memory for Rangers fans. But guess what? They won this year. The Rangers took a decade to regroup and get back to victory. While we licked our wounds from the 88th Texas legislature in May, we took pride in being the first state in more than a century to actually actively contemplate a state-level, goal-based monetary system that would offer people a genuine choice in money. It was and remains revolutionary. And it didn't die off. We regrouped over the summer. In June, I wrote Pirate Money. And then we held a legislative summit at Liberty Hawk Ranch in August. We even met the CEO of Glint, who spent the week with us. He flew from London and spent a week with us. And we inspired some people in Florida we didn't know at the time, also in New Hampshire, and they began working on legislation in their states. There's a group called Citizens for Sound Money, and they said, hey, that's a pretty good idea they're doing in Texas. Instead of just pushing the lighter bills that they were planning on, let's go for broke. Let's go for transactional gold and silver. And guess what? They stepped up, and we've joined with them and been working with them to get this moving forward. And our friend Art Alley of Timothy Plan, you know, Timothy Plan, who sponsors this show, he made some introductions for us in Florida. Art's a very prominent man there in the state, and he got us invited to speak at a dinner gathering at the Governor's Club in Tallahassee, just across from the Capitol. You know, 1/4 of the entire legislative body from the Florida House and Senate showed up, as well as representatives from the governor's office and representatives from their chief financial officer's office. I think it's funny. In Texas, we have a comptroller. Many states have a treasurer. In Florida, they have a chief financial officer. They are very businesslike in Florida. In fact, you go to their Capitol. The old Capitol looks very traditional. The new Capitol looks like a big modern office building. And we walked the halls, and we started talking to people, and we got support. In Texas, Representative Mark DeRazio and Senator Tan Parker and others have kept the embers burning, and things have started to catch fire. I appeared on the Lance Wallnau show a few months ago, and he talked about Pirate Money. And the next thing I know, it started climbing in book sales. It reached number 118 out of 50 million books in print. This is the 118th most popular book that week. And we've handed out thousands of copies. When people actually read it, they get it. And we recorded an audio edition. I've spoken 2 to 3 places a week for several months, like the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, the National Legal Forum, First Baptist Dallas, which is a huge church, Liberty Pastors. David Barton has a group called Pro-Life Family Legislative Conference, the State Financial Officers Foundation, the Great Awakening Project, the National Association of Insurance Financial Advisors, and a number of conservative groups. And everywhere I go, we carry books, and the books sell out. In Parker County recently, they lined up down one side of the room and across the back of the room, and maybe 300 people in the room. And after we'd sold 2 cases, the line was still that long. And you know what? We poured all the profits back into getting the message out, and it is paying off. Where are we? Well, 18 states have started down the legislative process. I told you we had good news. It's no longer just Texas. 18 states plus maybe Delaware. Florida and Utah are locked in a race to see who can be first. Florida's legislation is led by a freshman Baptist pastor, but it's gaining huge momentum. That's thanks to our friends from Citizens for Sound Money, the push we got from Art Alley. It's Tony working with Daniel along with Jim in New Hampshire. I mean, this group is phenomenal, and they're moving forward. They're C4, and they're moving forward actively. The effort in Utah is being led by our friend Ken Ivory. He's been on the show a number of times. He came to our summit in August here at Liberty Hawk, and pretty much he ate all of our ice cream. That guy is an ice cream fanatic. But then he went back and lit a fire with the help of State Treasurer Marlo Oaks, someone I've spoken to multiple times and at the SFOF conference. Other states include Alaska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arizona, Louisiana, South Dakota, Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Ohio, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Delaware. And it's not over in Texas either. I know we only have a session once every 2 years, but guess what? Because there wasn't enough things passed to satisfy Governor Abbott, he says, I want to put border security and I want to put school choice back on the session. He vetoed a bunch of bills and said, all right, we'll have a grab bag. You'll be able to put it back in the extraordinary session. And guess what? Legislation has been entered during this extraordinary session. And if it's deemed germane to the governor's call, it will move quickly. I met briefly with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I gave him a book. He said he's gotten lots of calls asking him to help us. So pray for Dan Patrick to read the book over the holidays and to get on board with us. The momentum has never been greater. We're gaining new and important allies every week. This is your opportunity to step up and make a real difference. So what you need to do from this, you need to start praying that those 18 states move forward and that we adopt new states every week. When I'm talking to people like Representative Bankson in Florida, he says, I've given out copies of your book. People are reading it. They like it. They're getting it. We went and met with them. People were coming up to me and taking pictures with me. It was really cool. We were there the week that Florida had a somber moment for Israel because of the invasion by Hamas. And they had a special dedication to stand with Israel. And I was there and bowed my head and prayed with them. But then afterwards, I started walking the halls. Hey, you're the guy that wrote the book. You're the guy in EconomicWarRoom. Can I get a picture with you? Can I have your autograph? This is state House members, state senators, staffers, and we were carrying chocolate coins just like we did in Austin. And we will do that in every state. Now, we need to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to share what you can do to help us win this most important strategic victory for liberty. This is our time, and we have to do it now. Take a break, and we'll be back. Here's a $10 bill. It's got the picture of Alexander Hamilton on the front of it. You know, it's kind of sad. When I was 10 years old, everything that I could buy for $1 now costs about $10. That's the cost of inflation. It's just paper. It's not backed by anything. You can't exchange it for gold and silver. You used to, but you can't do that anymore. And that's unfortunate. You know, pirates wouldn't accept this. Pirates, they wanted gold and silver. Patriots, the founders of this nation, also wanted gold and silver coin. In fact, they put a provision in the Constitution, 17 words, that said states could only make gold and silver coins tender within the states. That's why I wrote this new book, Patriot Money, Discovering the Founders' Hidden Plan for Economic Justice and Defeating the Great Reset. It will explain exactly the history of money and exactly why gold and silver coins can be made modern with new technology and a useful monetary system. PirateMoneyBook.com. we are facing a serious problem. I mean, one that's potentially existential for this nation. It's debt. And the plans that they have to deal with it involve economically enslaving you to where you're contributing and basically you don't own anything, but you'll be happy and you're going to eat bugs and you're going to live on the World Economic Forum plantation and work for them. It's economic enslavement. But we have a solution. Economic liberty from Pirate Money, aka Patriot Money, aka transactional gold and silver. And as I shared earlier, we have momentum. Now, what will you do to help us make this reality? President Reagan warned us freedom is only one generation away from extinction. Now it may be 1 or 2 years from extinction. But people don't want that. They want liberty. They want sound money. And now we have a plan to send a blast from an X-wing fighter down a tiny thermal exhaust port that can blow up the Death Star, known as the Great Reset. Yeah, you remember that from Star Wars. Stay on target, stay on target, stay on target. He called on the Force. He was a part of the Red Squadron. That's what we've got to do, and you need to be a part of that too. Now, if you prefer the analogy, we found a smooth stone for the forehead of a giant, or perhaps a silver bullet for the Lone Ranger's gun. However you want to label it, I'm telling you, we have a chance. And I'm not Dumb and Dumber telling you we have a real chance, but we need your help. There are 8 things you can do to help win this battle, and I'm going to walk through all 8 of them. Number 1, buy and read the book, Pirate Money. If you read it already, read it again. Buy another copy. By the way, it's on audio. It's in Kindle. It's on paperback. It's in hardback. You can get a link for purchase of all of these at piratemoneybook.com. It'll take you right to Amazon. You can buy it there. But this book makes all the difference when people actually pay attention to it. It's helpful. I will tell you, I'm the author of this book. I sat for 2 weeks straight and wrote it. And guess what? We changed very, very little. Just some grammar, just some spelling. It was just, I pray every morning, and I feel like this book is written. I don't want to say it, but certainly inspired and helped by the Holy Spirit. I think it really is God's plan for right now. So read the book. You know what? I reread the book almost on every plane flight. It's got good information in there. It's helpful to remind me, to get me ready for my speaking. I read the book and read it again. So step number 1 is buy and read the book. And if you've read it, read it again. Step number 2, you need to review this book on Amazon. Last time I looked, it only had 56 reviews. Now, my previous book, according to plan, has nearly 500 reviews. 56 is too low to be taken seriously. I'm not kidding about this. Actually, authors, they look and they say, how many reviews does it have before they decide whether or not I'm going to read that or I'm going to take it seriously. Now, it may be only 56 reviews because we've given away so many copies. You know, if you get your copy free, you don't go to Amazon and therefore it's not in your cart, therefore it doesn't show up, hey, do you want to review this? But we need reviews, and you do not have to have purchased it from Amazon to write a review. It helps, but you don't have to. We want 5 stars. It has almost 4.8 stars right now. Review the book and write a review if you can. So you can click 5 stars. That's not enough. You can do that. That helps. But then go on further and write a review. It really does make a difference. Step number 3, share the book. Talk about it. Buy extra copies and give them away, or send links to this episode and share our clips from our Facebook page or our YouTube account. We have been throttled by Facebook. When we first started the program, we would have 1,000 subscribers and get 500,000 views of video. Now we have 37,000 followers on Facebook, and we're lucky to get 100 or 200 viewers. Why? They're throttling us. There's no question about it. YouTube, it's the same thing. YouTube is demonetizes and everything else. So we'll provide pertinent links for sharing in our free economic battle plan. That's step 3. Share the book, talk about it, and share the clips from this episode. Step number 4, speak out. Start talking about transactional gold and silver. Open a Glint account or a kinesis or a load account and show people how easy it can be to transact in gold. I did this at the Omni Hotel in Irving. After speaking, I said, you want to see how this works? I walked into the coffee shop there and talked to the young man. I took this is a half a scudo. Its value is 24 karat gold. It's valuable in gold. It's like 1/16 of a gold doubloon. It's worth several $100s gold value only. And I said, I'd like coffee and a muffin. And I said, I'd like to pay for it with this. And he looked at me like I was an idiot. He was like, I can't take that. I can't take that. Now, I was thinking he's the idiot. What he should have done is he should have said to me, I'll pay for your coffee and your muffin, and I'll take your coin. He didn't do it. He said, I don't know what to do with that, because it wasn't transactional. You could do this. Just take a gold coin and offer it. After I showed him how I paid for it with glint, though, all of a sudden his eyes got wide. He opened up. I gave him a book. I shared the story. Speak up. Start talking about transactional gold and silver. Step number 5, get us on media if you have good contacts. We aren't looking for suggestions. People can call up and say, oh, you ought to get on Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan. Yeah, right, we should do that. Or Hannity, or, oh, wouldn't it be great? Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. We'd love to do that. Give us something actionable. That means somebody you know that you can get us on. Now, I've done radio programs, and a lot of them, people say, well, I know the top radio program in South Florida or in California. Okay, great. I'll be on those programs. Or if you don't know any of those people, call people you don't know, Charlie Kirk or Eric Metaxas, and just say, hey, you should have this guy on your program, and here's a link to his information. Just call their producers. If you know Charlie Kirk or Eric Metaxas, absolutely call them. If enough people contact the producers, they're going to pay attention. I know, it works with me. Number 6, send copies of these books to your state legislators, the governor, the treasurer, or call them. Transactionalgold.com can be your resource. Go to that, transactionalgold.com. We will even have a page for every state with action steps and campaigns to reach out. You know, Riley Moore, the West Virginia treasurer, called me. Why? Because he'd gotten so many calls telling him, hey, have you read Pirate Money? Have you talked to Kevin Freeman? When I met Lieutenant Governor Patrick, he said, Kevin, I can't tell you how many people have called me and told me I need to meet you. That's important. It helps. Number 7, support our speaking arrangements. I'm speaking at America Fest coming up. Patriot Mobile sponsoring a book signing. Show up, support, arrange speaking opportunities. You can reach out through the Economic War Room website. And number 8, pay it forward. That worked for Sound of Freedom. This is important too. Go to piratemoneybook.com/payitforward. For $100, you can buy 10 books to give out or help defray our costs in giving them out. We'll summarize all this in our free economic battle plan at EconomicWarRoom.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.